Are you ready for a special holiday recipe that you don't have to feel guilty about? Yes? So am I. So let's not waste any more time and let me introduce you to Raw Chef Haley Cloud.
How would you like to be able to eat pumpkin pie any time of the year and without any guilt whatsoever? I'm going to teach you how to make a sneaky pumpkin pie that is all plant-based, that is full of nutrition, that is actually good for you to eat and will help you lose weight, that you can have any time of the year. So we're going to begin by making the crust. It's extremely simple and very delicious. So you're going to begin with the food processor. So your food processor has an S-blade. This is what you want when you're making this. It comes with every food processor, but make sure this is in before you start adding ingredients. So we're going to begin with pecans. So we have pecans here, raw pecans, and you just need a cup. Now to get a very good consistency with my crust, I usually grind my pecans first until they're nice and fine. All right, now that they're a nice fine crumble, I'm going to add dates. Make sure you use fresh dates. I personally like medjool dates the best. That's M-E-D-J-O-O-L, medjool. They are the largest, the sweetest, the plumpest, the most delicious. They are the most expensive, but because they're so sweet, you end up using less of them in the long run. So why not pay the same amount of money and get the best quality? So make sure you take the pits out first. I just split them open and took the pits out. Before you put them in, I had to learn the hard way that there are pits inside dates that need to be removed before you put them in. So you're going to put those into your food processor, and you're going to grind them down as well. And that is your crust. So you take your pie pan. I prefer a springform pie pan. The springform means that the sides simply come off and the bottom pops out. This is nice because this crust does not slip out of a glass pie pan easily. All right, so you take your crust and you're going to pour it into your pie pan so it looks like this. And then you're just going to spread it out and pat it down. Very simple, very easy. 2-ingredient crust. All right, now it's time for the filling. So the filling, instead of using cream or cheese or ice cream or something that's a little less healthy for you that you need to moderate, we're going to be using nuts. So we're going to start with pecans, a cup of pecans, and a cup of raw cashews, and water. And you're going to blend this until it's a nice smooth cream. Now, if you do not have a Vitamix or a Blendtec or a high-speed blender, make sure that you do a little more work than I'm doing. So the nuts need to be ground down a little finer, say in a food processor or a coffee grinder, so that they're easier for your blender to blend. If you burn your blender out while making this recipe, then you need to buy a Vitamix. All right. Okay, now we're going to add all of the spices. So we begin with pumpkin pie spice, which is the reason why we eat pumpkin pie in the first place. We don't eat it for the pumpkin. Pumpkin's kind of bland. We want the spices. So pumpkin pie spice has cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, allspice, and ginger, all put together. So you're going to put a teaspoon of that in, and a teaspoon of turmeric. Turmeric is actually my food coloring. It's going to make this a bright orange pumpkin pie. It also has amazing anti-cancer properties, so this is a very handy spice to have on hand. Another teaspoon of that, teaspoon of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of honey. Make it nice and sweet. Honey is a fantastic way to sweeten anything. Honey has nutritious qualities as well as medicinal qualities. So instead of just sweetening your food, you are actually improving your health. And the last ingredient we're going to be using right now is coconut oil. So coconut oil, make sure it's cold pressed or virgin, they mean the same thing. Coconut oil has a fun melting point. So at 75 degrees, it is a liquid, but if you go cooler than 75 degrees, it's a solid. So if you keep this in your pantry, part of the year it will be liquid and part of the year it will be solid. There's nothing wrong with that. But the fun thing about the fact that it gets solid is that right now it is very liquidy. When you put this in this recipe and you mix it with everything else, then it turns the pudding into the same qualities. So if you put this pudding into the fridge or the freezer, it becomes solid. So it keeps your pumpkin pie filling perfectly solid. That's why we use it. It also is delicious and also full of great health qualities. So I'm going to blend it again. And my last ingredient are carrots. So this is my sneaky pumpkin pie because there's no pumpkin in it whatsoever. I like this because I can have this all year round. I don't have to wait for pumpkin to be in season. Pumpkin is a fall/winter squash, so it's only around in the fall and the beginning part of the winter. I prefer to have pumpkin pie, say, in March or in the middle of the summer. Why not? So I use carrots. You can use pumpkin if it is pumpkin season, like it is right now, but you can also use carrots. Technically, it's just carrot for pumpkin, 2 cups of each. So we're going to chop up some carrots and we're going to put them inside. Once again, if you have a lower speed blender, do more chopping than I'm doing right now. I prefer to stay away from canned pumpkin, but in a pinch, it works very well. All right, and we're going to blend it again. And when you're done and it's nice and smooth, you're just going to pour this beautiful pumpkin pie filling on top of your crust. Or you can eat it directly out of your blender. Sometimes I do that too. Right now it's this beautiful filling. And as soon as you refrigerate it or freeze it, I usually leave it in the freezer until it's time to be eaten. Preserves its flavor and nutrition a little bit longer than in your fridge. It smells so good. And then I just simply fill my springform pan full. Now, for a little extra, I like it to look a little nicer. What I do is I take a pinch of either the pumpkin pie spice that I had or cinnamon, and I just kind of float a little on top. And I make a fun little design. So let's see if I can show you how I do this. Sometimes I just drag my spatula through a few times, and before you know it, you have this beautiful little design that you didn't have otherwise. And then this will go directly into my freezer. When it's solid, I take it out, I cut it into pieces, and I serve it. And I can have this all year round. I can have some in a few months if I like. But for right now, a little slice of this, a little dab of my ice cream, and you have a delicious, nutritious, amazing dessert or breakfast, since it's all good for you. And you can serve it to anyone you like without the guilt of the added sugar or calories that come with it. So here is your sneaky pumpkin pie. Go home, go make it, and enjoy.